All right, we're group 6 and we're covering the country of Nepal. Starting with the country profile, the word Nepal is derived from the Sanskrit word Nepalaya. Sanskrit is the primary prayer language of Hinduism, which makes the origin of the name appropriate because prior to 2006, Nepal was the world's only constitutionally declared Hindu state. While being declared a Hindu state infers uniformity, Nepal is actually characterized by its tremendous diversity. There are 126 ethnic groups as well as 123 different languages or dialects found in Nepal. Kshetri is the most prominent ethnicity, while Nepali is the country's mother tongue. Further contributing to Nepal's diverse culture are the various religions that can be found there. While Hinduism is by far the most conspicuous religion, you can also find Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam, and many others. The groundwork for the nation of Nepal was established in 1768 when Prithvi Nayan Shah conquered Kathmandu, which is the present capital of Nepal. A lot of Nepal's history has been influenced by its proximity to India and the suppressive colonization by the British that took place there. Because of this, Shah tried to keep his country isolated. Eventually, the heavy hand of the British nation forced Nepal to come to terms with them, and after losing a war, they negotiated the present-day borders. The Shah dynasty lost virtually all of their power in 1846 when a man named Rang Bahadur took over and declared himself Rana, aka Prime Minister. Afterwards, the kings of Nepal were merely figureheads until 1950 when the Rana was overthrown. From 1951 to 2008, Nepal experienced several political shifts, and this period was characterized by severe civil unrest. In May of 2008, Nepal voted to abolish the monarchy and establish themselves as a federal republic. In 2015, the first constitution of Nepal was drafted. Also in 2015, Bidhya Devi Bhandari was elected as the first female president, and Pushpa Kamal Dahal was elected as the new prime minister. Due to the political instability that has plagued Nepal, Nepal still remains a poor country. Political instability, along with lack of private sector development, are major contributors to Nepal's poor Freedom Index score. The 2017 Index of Economic Freedom, conducted by the Heritage Organization, ranks Nepal 125th in the world, which means it's mostly unfree. This Freedom Index covers 12 freedoms from property rights to financial freedoms, all of which contribute to Nepal's low score. Because of Nepal's lack of government transparency over the last few decades, they also have a relatively poor corruption perception score. Nepal is ranked 131st out of 175 countries according to the 2016 Corruption Perceptions Index reported by Transparency International. Nepal also ranks 105th out of 180 countries in the 2016 World Press Freedom Index. While a large press culture exists in Nepal, it is quite dangerous to cover political stories and demonstrations held there. The president of Nepal, Bhandari, heads up a relatively strong military called the Nepalese Armed Forces. They rank 98th out of 126 countries for military strength. Nepal's total available manpower is 14,600,000. However, only 11,210,000 are fit for duty. Since opening up its borders in 1951, the previously isolated country of Nepal has a promising tourism future. Mount Everest, countless temples, and some of the oldest cities in the world attract visitors from all over. Going into population and demography, compared to the United States, who has over 9 million square kilometers, Nepal is really small and covers roughly 147,000 square kilometers. They have a population of a little over 29 million. Over the past 62 years, Nepal's population has been growing steadily at a 1.79% increase per year. Like the rest of the world, this number will change with the decline in birth rates. In 1960, the birth rate per 1,000 people was 44.9, and every year following that, the birth rate has continued to decline. Like the birth rate, infant mortality has also been on a steady decline since the 60s. Improvements in healthcare and nutrition can be attributed to the increased life expectancy of the Nepalese people. Life expectancy has gone up from 35 years in 1960 to 69.6 years today. While it is a great improvement for Nepal, they are still slightly trailing the world average of 71.5 years. Urban population has been rising steadily as well. Compared with the 1960s numbers, the urban population has increased 15.1%.
The geographic profile. Nepal is a small, landlocked country in South Asia that is bordered by China in the north and India in the south. The capital is Kathmandu. The population of the capital is around 1.4 million. There are three different types of terrain in Nepal. You have the plains called the Terai, the foothills called the Chirya, and the mountain range called the Himalayas. The Himalayas is the tallest mountain range in the world, and Nepal also contains Mount Everest. The graph on the slide shows the change of terrain in the country. The green represents the plains, the brown represents the foothills, and the white represents the Himalayas. Economic profile. Their national currency is the rupee. The exchange rate is 107 rupees equals $1. They are ranked 108th in GDP in the world with a total GDP of $21.2 billion. And the graph shows Nepal's GDP growth rate since 2005. In 2014, Nepal's government expenditures were 2.2 billion US dollars. Most of their government expenditures are spent on defense, education, health, services, housing, and welfare. The quality of life. The quality of life rank is 98.07 out of 200. Their low-income jobs consist of housekeepers, cooks, cleaners, and general labor. Mid-income jobs include restaurant workers, taxi drivers, and teachers. And upper-income jobs consist of government jobs and bank managers. Basic consumption profile. Total internet access for the country is 44.11% of the entire population use the internet. And this graph shows the increased internet usage from 1990 to 2015. It increased significantly in 2005. Both of these graphs here show, the first one shows the increase in access to electricity over time, and the second one shows the increase in access to water over time. Housing and healthcare. Home ownership rate in Nepal is 85%, but most living consists of apartment-style housing.
The next section is Hofstadter's cultural dimensions. The first of Hofstadter's cultural dimensions is the power distance index. Nepal has a PDI score of 65. Consequently, it will be very evident within the Nepalese society to acknowledge who has money and power and who does not. If an individual has power, he will definitely flash it. In Nepal, due to their high PDI score, hierarchical roles play a huge factor in everyday interactions. And unlike in the United States, people with power should never be challenged by those without it, vocally or otherwise. Let us now listen to our Nepalese guest on what he had to say about power distance within his country.
I guess one difference is I had to learn how to look someone in the eye, because I never really used to look someone in the eye because it's considered disrespectful.
Right.
That, I guess, and
Consider it disrespectful, like it's considered like challenging, like you're like challenging what they're saying.
and it's like you're looking down on them. Like if someone's older than you and you're talking to them, looking in their eye, then that's like you're looking down on them. You know what I mean?
Someone in the eye is like being like equals. And
Yeah.
that's not a good thing.
And that's only with pals, yeah. And with elders, you just look down because you're just submitting to
respect
them.
them.
Yeah, respect them.
Okay.
The second of Hofstadter's cultural dimensions is the individualistic index. Nepal has an IDV score of 30, meaning that they are a collectivist society. In collectivist cultures, family and close friends are highly important. They form what is known as an in-group. These in-groups are extremely influential to a collectivist individual when it comes to making any decisions. In addition to in-group influences, Nepal's low IDV score also puts a high concern over keeping the harmony within the society, as well as saving face with all existing relationships. This is very similar to their neighboring countries of China and India. Let us now listen to our Nepalese guest on what he had to say about individualism within his country.
Yeah, I'd say group and family is very important. Uh, that's what you base your lifestyle on. So, like, you have grandpa, grandma, daughter, not daughter, but all the sons and his family living in the same house.
I got you.
So it's like
Extended
family
in the same
oriented.
household.
Yeah.
The third of Hofstadter's cultural dimensions is the masculinity index. Nepal has a masculinity score of 40. This classifies the small landlocked nation as a feminist society. This means that roles between men and women are shared or even reversed in some cases. According to our Nepalese guest, he believes that Nepal is actually a society that is more masculine than their score depicts them to be. For instance, Nepalese people are not afraid to flash their wealth. That is a highly masculine thing to do. However, their low masculinity score could be due to the fact that the women in Nepal have roles much more intense and labor-oriented than those in the United States and other various societies. Let us now listen to our Nepalese guest and what he had to say about the masculinity index within his country.
Like events, when you have events, there's a gold medal, silver medal, bronze medal, and then consolation prize, and then everyone gets a certificate for participating. So it's not like, you don't have to win. It's the best effort that counts.
The fourth and final of Hofstadter's cultural dimensions is the uncertainty avoidance index. Nepal has a UAI score of 40. This means that they are open to new experiences and products and fiddle with the unknown. In addition to openness to new experiences, Nepalese people also tend to be more stress-free than Americans, probably because their low UAI score leads them to worry less about the little things. Let us now listen to our Nepalese guest and see what he had to say about UAI in his country.
I mean, I would say like to tourists like that come in to visit, travel, and for tourism purpose, they're very welcome to them. But if someone like from China were to come in or from India side were to come in and try to buy the properties and take over business here and there, they're not welcome to that.
This brings us to the conclusion of our presentation. We would like to thank you for viewing. A very special thanks to Subhash, our Nepalese guest, for taking the time out of his day to meet with our group and chat with us about the various aspects of the Nepalese life. And another very special thanks to Dr. Rader for a very interesting and compelling class.